Well, good evening. Thank you so much for coming out again this evening. Last night I told you the story of Bernie, right, from the Iloilo District Jail, if you weren't here. And tonight I brought you some pictures. So that's the Iloilo District Jail on the island of, I guess the island is called Iloilo. It's Iloilo City is the capital. And this was on a Sunday morning. It was the day before we were heading back home. And so this is where I've been doing the Evangelistic series. One of them that I did. That's the mode of transportation. The gentleman there in the greenish polo shirt, see that? He is the warden of the jail. And we're giving him a copy of Desire of Ages. And so next to me is Dr. Jim Martins. He's a friend of mine. We grew up together in Toronto. He's a dentist, has a very large practice in Toronto. Then on the other end, it's the warden. And then it's another friend who's a co-founder of our organization. His name is Alan Heacock. He works in high-rise construction. Next to Alan Heacock, in the dark blue shirt, is Pastor Ishmael Ali from Calvary. Some of you might know Pastor Ishmael. And behind him is Pastor Richard Means, who was Pastor Ali's associate in Calvary, who is now in Brooklyn pastoring. He is originally from Brooklyn. And then the lady in the white shirt is one of the lay people that helps coordinate the work there at the Iloilo District Jail. So on the roof of the jail is the church. That's the roof. And behind that gate back there is the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And that's what it looks like inside. Isn't that kind of nice? So yeah, it's kind of nice, isn't it? So it's got a little pulpit there at the front. So we were just getting ready. That's it's like a metal roof, right? It's got ceramic tile down. It's really nice. There's our congregation. The ones in the yellow are the inmates. And so you'll see there's a mix of men and women. There's a women's prison joint attached to it that has about 200 female inmates. The new president of the Philippines has really cracked down on drugs, right? And what's resulted is the prisons are just overflowing. And I mean, there were people there that have been held for 2 years awaiting arraignment or whatever, waiting trial. Can you imagine? Like they're just holding them, waiting for a charge, right? And so it's tough. It's tough. That gentleman in the black shirt there, that's Bernie. Bernie's the gentleman we talked about last night. He's the head elder who murdered 34 people. You would never think it, would you, by looking at him, right? Alan here is giving him an Andrews Study Bible. And he was very grateful for that. That's Dr. Jim there looking on. This is the baptism. And so that's the fiberglass tank they gave us that had a leak. And you can see we couldn't get into the baptistry with them, and so we was down the outside. And so it was really quite interesting. And I said, Bernie, you're going to help us baptize. And he said, well, I can't. I said, you're an ordained elder. I'm an ordained pastor. You're going to help in the baptism. And he was so excited. So we had all of the pastors and the elders participating in the baptism. So there's Dr. Jim with myself, and then Pastor Richard Means with Bernie. That's Pastor Richard. The week before we came to the Philippines, Richard Means was ordained. That's his first baptism as an ordained Seventh-day Adventist pastor. Was on the roof of the Iloilo Church, the Iloilo Jail. Yeah, that's something. So we had some female inmates that were baptized. That's Pastor Ali there with Dr. Jim. And this was Stephen. He was really excited. That's we made the appeal, and those folks came forward in the appeal. So there was the baptism candidates that were all baptized. We each gave them a Bible and 28 fundamental beliefs. And so that's the group of candidates that were baptized together with the ones that came forward in the appeal. Is that wonderful? All of them inmates. So on sitting down there, we have starting at on the left is Pastor Means, myself, Dr. Jim, Alan, Bernie. We had Bernie sit in the middle. We said, you're the head elder of this congregation here. And then Pastor Ali, and then Headley Campbell, who's a retired nurse from Calvary that comes on our mission trips with us. So we then, that's called downtown. That's the core of the prison. And you can see all the inmates, and there's one way out, which is sort of to your right. And there's us and 1,800 inmates and the guards on the other side of the gate. And so...
That's all your angels.
Yeah, you know what? But, I don't know, maybe we should have been more concerned. I wasn't concerned at all. You know what? Folks were very polite. I don't know. It was just... So, in those suitcases, there are suitcases that brought all of our gear, and so what I'm doing there is coordinating with the inmates who will go next, right? So you have the women sitting on one side, the men on the other, and slowly they would make their way up. So it just gives you a bit of perspective. So we're up on a stage, so you can just sort of maybe on this picture you can see it better. So here is Jasmine. She's a hygienist that went with us. She's using a unit called a Cavitron to remove plaque. She's doing the work of a hygienist. I think that's actually Bernie that she's working on. You see that chair he's lying on? You can see it sort of to the right there, that blue and black. That's corrugated cardboard, and it all folds like a puzzle. And in a suitcase, we are able to carry one mobile dental clinic, which consists of the patient's chair. See the blue stool over here? That's the dentist's chair. Jasmine is sitting on another one, so two of those. See over here? That's the suction, and the that drill thing? They have those too. And so, many of those inmates had never been to a dentist before, ever. All right, so there you see again the units over here. So this is for the drill, and this is the suction piece. So all of that, the whole clinic fits into a suitcase and weighs 50 pounds. Because it's designed for travel. We have 6 of those units. We bought them, actually, they were designed for the U.S. military. And they're all battery operated, battery powered, so if we are in a place without power, they can run the whole day on battery. Yeah, it was a big investment, but folks were generous enough and we were able to acquire those. That's the sterilization going on. You see they use pressure cookers to sterilize the utensils. And so what actually kills the spores is the pressure. And so every 2 or 3 rounds they throw in a little tag that makes sure that everything's being sterilized, because you go through a lot of tools. That's just a sampling of the forceps and stuff that they use. That's one of our volunteers. She lives in Oshawa. She came with us, her and her husband, and she's wearing sunglasses like that because the night on the Friday night back in Iloilo in the capital, they were working till late trying to get all the patients 10 to 2. And I was holding an evangelist. I would preach in the jail during the day, and at night I'd preach in the church. And they had just finished, and she was making her way over to the church, and it was dark, and she didn't see a speed bump in the parking lot, and tripped and landed straight on her face. So she's got this wicked shiner. That's why she's wearing the sunglasses. So they're just working with the inmates, so they would line up, right? And we'd get their name, and there's Pastor Ali, and it was, I'll tell you, it was hot in there. Ooh. Now, I don't know if you can see, Dr. Jim is back there. See him? Mm-hmm. So he's giving him giving him an injection anesthetic, right? Yeah. So we bring all the anesthetic from Canada. We don't do anything with, they don't do anything without anesthetic. They make sure they're good and numbed up, not to traumatize anyone. That's Raina, that's Dr. Jim's wife, and what she has there on the table is a digital x-ray unit that we have, that we bought that from Italy, so we can x-ray. Yeah. So that's a $19,000 piece of equipment. But what it does is it allows the dentists to zero in on what actually the problem is, right? So they'll know exactly what they have to deal with. And so there's Jim, and Alan was assisting him. Jim lives for this, I'll tell you. He's got a very successful practice in Toronto. And he leads out on this team. And this was supposed to be a day off, because this was right at the end. This was the last day we were there. And we were supposed to have a day off. But I'd gotten back on Friday and said to him, hey, Jim, is there any way you can get some of the crew to come out to the prison on Sunday and attend to these inmates, right? And he said, yeah, absolutely. We were there the whole day. And in fact, we stayed a little bit longer than we should have, because that area there, I remember this area here, we call it the downtown. That's what they call it in the prison, downtown. This area here, on Sunday afternoon, the priest comes in, they do the rosary. And so we were supposed to be out at 3 o'clock, because that's the time the priest arrives. We didn't get out till 4. And the priest was there. We went over and we apologized. We said, oh, we're sorry we took your time. He said,
he's pretty upset.
He said, you have nothing to apologize for. In fact, we should be thanking you guys for coming here. So that was really nice. It was really nice of you. So let me just quickly here. So we're getting ready to leave. We had everything packed up. That's all the suitcases we have, right? All our gear. Everything's packed up. We're heading out the door. 2 inmates come to me and they say, here, this is for you guys. I said, what is it? He said, it's a present. It's in a box, tied up. And I said, oh, thank you. He goes, harvest chicken. And I said, oh, okay. So we took it and we jumped onto the unit, the truck that we had rented, the van. We go back, we drive about an hour and a half almost to get back to the hotel we were staying in. And when we got there, I said to Jim, Jim, you want to eat chicken? Like that. So why don't we just give it to the driver here, right? He's got a family. Like, we're not going to eat the chicken. Just give it to the driver. And he's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So we unloaded all our stuff, and I said to the driver, hey, would you like to take the harvest chicken and have it with your family? And he's like, sure. And then he opens the box. They were live chickens. But I didn't realize that when you put live chickens inside of a box and you close up, they don't make any noise. I didn't know. So, I just want you to think about this. Put it in the pressure cooker. So one of the things the inmates do there is they do cockfighting, you know? And they raise chickens, and they have hens for eggs, and they raise these chickens from little chicks. And they use that to supplement their diet. And so in giving us those 2, I wonder if is it my unit here?
Yeah. It's the connection right on the back.
I think it's with this.
It's okay, you know what, I just try not to move around. In giving us those 2 chickens, they were giving us the best of what they had to give us. Isn't that incredible? I get emotional when I think about it, because that's those poor guys, man. They, you know what I mean? That's how much they appreciated being there. So